I'm going to call a city council regular meeting for October 27th to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Jill Valerius. You're still muted, Councilmember Valerius. Okay, we see she's present.
Present.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Carrington is still yet to connect. Sure he will. Councilmember Richard Best.
Here.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs. Mayor Edna DeVries.
Here.
We have 6 present, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
And a
so
quorum.
we're still waiting. Okay. Are we ready? Okay, if you will stand, please, and Councilman Daniels, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda, including the consent agenda and the approval of the minutes from September 22nd regular meeting. What is the wishes of the council? Is there a second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Questions, comments, amendments to the motion? Yes, Councilman Daniels. Councilman Best, that's okay. Thank you. Councilman Daniels, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question about ordinance number 20-014.
Okay. Go
So,
ahead.
yeah, so on page 6, there's a line that says, one witness who is...
Yes.
Point of order.
Uh-huh.
If we're going to discuss the ordinance, should we move it to new business?
Let me ask Councilman, on the consent agenda, normally we don't discuss things. Now, this is going to be set for public hearing for next meeting, but if you would like to discuss it at this meeting, then what you should do is ask that introduction and setting of that public hearing for November 10th be moved to new business so we can discuss it this evening. So what would you prefer, sir?
Sure, if we could move it to new business.
Okay, so is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that the introduction for ordinance 20-014 will be moved to item 2 under H, new business on page 2. Any discussion on that amendment? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll on the amendment to the main motion?
Yes. Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Yes. Did you get that?
Nope, Councilmember Julie, I did not hear that.
Yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so are there any further questions, comments, or amendments to the main motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Councilmember Best asked for earlier recognition.
Okay, already, Madam Clerk, if you'll go ahead and take the vote on the main motion as amended, please.
Okay. Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burbrick.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is reports. City manager's report, sir, please. I see your mouth moving, sir, but you are muted.
Yeah, he needs to unmute himself.
Just give us a minute, sir. I continue to see you talking, but we cannot hear you on this end. He's trying to send us a decoded message here. Can you read that? Can you get him unmuted?
No, he has to do it himself.
You have to all right, there, okay. City manager.
See, Norman had to give me permission to unmute, so I think you would like that on a daily basis.
Yeah, she already put you in your place here, and you haven't even been here 6 months yet, right?
I heard she was a tough taskmaster, so. I just have one thing to, tonight. We have, an offer that's gonna be coming to you for the church property. This is not an actual house of worship, but a piece of property we acquired owned by the church family. I think we're different than the church's chicken family, however. So we have an offer coming to the city council, for your approval, and then by code, there has to be a 30-day waiting period before we sell any property based upon our charter code. As I have was informed today, you have a second offer after we agreed to this that came to you. After we stated that we would move this project forward. So we'll give you the details later, but we do have potential sale for the property. It will be very good for us. It'll bring some extra revenue for the city, and when that time comes, we will get you all the details. But we're moving forward on that, and we really appreciate the opportunity. And I must say, this came at the mayor's insistence, so Ed pushing a little bit is getting us some more money. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, any question? Yes, Councilman Best, go ahead.
And for the listening audience and those that are new to the area, the ballpark area of this discussion is where?
Okay, it is the church property. It is south of Palmer, not in the city. South, right next to the gravel mining area. If you go down south on Glen Highway, you'll see there's a house. You'll see a big sign on it stating it's for sale. But it's on the Glen Highway.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay. Any further questions of the city manager's report? Okay, city clerk report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to remind the council, I had sent out an email that had some dates. The police department are inviting all of you to attend ride-alongs with them. The two remaining dates left are the 6th and 7th from 4 to 10 p.m. I do want to let the council know that Councilmember Daniels has taken the offer and did do a ride-along, and then the mayor will also be, is that correct?
Right,
Yep.
on the 5th.
So if the council, if more than 2 of you want to do a ride-along, I am more than happy to coordinate with Commander LaCroix and get some more dates for you so that you all can participate in that. If that is something you wish to do, just let me know and we will get this coordinated for you. But as of right now, they definitely have an opening for the 6th and 7th from 4 to 10. And thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity for my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions as city clerk regarding her report or anything else? Okay, I don't see anything. Okay, so the next item is my report, and you do have my written report. This coming Thursday, I have 2 more meetings, one in the morning and one in the afternoon for the 911 task force meeting. I did get a a card from Mrs. Saunders, first grade, Butte Elementary. And it says, "Thank you, Mayor. Our class learned about community helpers, including mayors. Thanks for being our mayor." And so that was received today. And then I have a thank you from Body in Balance. And it says, "Dear Mayor DeVries and City Council members, I want to write a quick note to thank you for your service and for reviewing our applications. The first round of grant money was greatly appreciated and used to offset payroll and rent expenses. Fortunately, we have been able to continue our weekly Monday night happy runs, our sites in the Backcountry Challenge, and we were a host to a series of virtual trail races. Thanks to your support and your very hardworking team, we have managed to stay open. Thank you again, Anne." And so those will be put into the record and given. And then we have a plaque that we have received from that Search and Rescue. So that will be given to Norma and left with her also. And I have signed up for partaking in the AML Mayor event and online. So I think that's all that I have. Anyone have any questions on my report or anything else? Okay. Alrighty, Mike, do you have a city attorney's report?
No, Madam Mayor, I think that everything's fine for now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Does any of the council have any questions of Mike regarding either his report or lack of a report, or questions that you might have? Okay. So the next item on our agenda is audience participation. We do have, I think all of you have gotten some written emails, and so we'll go ahead and see if there's anybody here in person first, and then we'll have the clerk read the written emails into the record. So with that, I'll open for audience participation. Anyone in the audience is welcome to address the council. 3 minutes if you're representing yourself, and 5 minutes if you're representing a group.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Mike Malewski. I reside at 325 East Farweed Avenue. And I was taken by Mr. Moosey's comments, as I often am. He mentioned briefly that there was already one person who's interested in doing business with marijuana, cannabis here in the city. What I wanted to do was speak a little bit about what I've been observing. We've recently had Amy Pettit, who you all know was director of the Alaska Great Land Trust. She's completed 2 interviews, one with a proprietor of a business in Talkeetna, and secondly, today, just finished an interesting discussion with Rob Carter, who, as many of you know, directs the Plant Material Center that's located in Sutton. And he wrote the state's guidelines for a particular form of hemp, and that's industrial hemp. And I discovered some things I had not known about the usage of industrial hemp. Familiar with some things, but it's possible to use that plant product for things such as plywood, for insulation, for all kinds of things, in addition to the variety of other uses that have been described with hemp and hemp products. I think the most important thing that I wanted to do at this point was to say that the state operates on a year basis in terms of putting out their licenses for things. And they've got a lot of experience because there are many people in the borough and around the state that are doing this. I'm encouraging, if you will, that sooner than later, the discussion, the very appropriate discussion, occur at the Board of Economic Development, the Planning Commission, et cetera, to explore the variety of things that could be done within the city. The manager and your discussion has pointed to looking at increase in income, whether it's taxes or in some cases we have an industrial area in Palmer. And industrial hemp production of a variety of products could well fit within that, I'm thinking, within the city. But it deserves attention, and the sooner that attention happens and whatever decision is made to allow particular varieties of retail, production, wholesale, whatever, I think would enhance the whole process, which is ongoing as we speak in places such as Talkeetna and the rest of the borough. So I just wanted to mention that because it's come to my attention, and it's a fascinating story, the whole process that the state has gone through at this time. Of course, Mr. Musi is familiar with it from the borough. Thank you very much for listening.
Anyone else would like to address the council? Okay, I don't see anyone else, council, so I will turn it over now to the city clerk to read into the record our written emails for audience participation for this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maggie Obi Trammell. Dear City Council members and Mayor DeVries, the number of COVID cases in our community is growing at an overwhelming rate. Our daily case numbers are increasing rapidly. As I write this on Monday, October 26th, we had 80 daily cases in the Valley, 19 of which were in Palmer. As has been shown all over the world and country, when the number of cases increases sharply, so too do the hospitalizations and death rates soon after. Since there is an unwillingness from the state of Alaska to implement a mask mandate, the city of Palmer needs to ensure the safety of its residents. We need leadership that guides our city and encourages the residents of the city of Palmer to take the recommended safety protocols seriously. Mayor DeVries has acted very poorly in her leadership during this pandemic. She has not been setting a good example and refuses to wear a mask at city council meetings. The State of Alaska Department of Health and Social Services publishes recommendations for the safest protocol to follow daily. They state, always wear a mask when you're around people outside of your household, even if you can maintain 6 feet of distance from others. The City Hall has a mandate that those in the building must wear a mask. Mayor DeVries is refusing to follow the written mandate, and she is openly opposing the recommendations of the State Department of Health and Social Services. In doing so, she is setting a bad example for members of our community. She is also putting city staff at risk of transmission from this deadly virus. I request that she follows the mandate of City Hall requiring everyone inside to wear a mask. I request that all city employees and those entering the building be required to wear masks and that action is taken if they do not. Sincerely, Maggie Obi. And Madam Mayor, I'd like to add that this testimony is in print form in the back of the room for anyone who would like to pick it up. So, as well as it did get emailed to the council.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sorry, my remiss for not mentioning that prior. Kelly McDonald. Sorry. I am writing as a concerned Palmer citizen to ask that our leadership, including the current mayor and assembly members, follow recommended CDC guidelines and wear masks for tomorrow night's assembly meeting. Our elected officials need to demonstrate true leadership and concern for the community as COVID cases continue to spread. Kelly McDonald. Janelle Gagnon. Hi, Norma. Is there any way this video can either be shared with all Palmer City Council members or be shown at the meeting as a support tool for requiring that all city employees and city government leaders wear their masks and wear them appropriately as part of modeling responsible behavior, adhering to the same standard we required of students and school staff, and to be a part of the collective effort to keep case counts down so that schools won't have to close? There's a web link to a Facebook page to the Alaska Matsu 12 video. This is a great video made in partnership with MSBSD, which stands for Matsu Borough School District, and the MSHF, the Matsu Health Foundation, and with MSBSD students and teachers. Thank you, Janelle Gagnon. I also would like to add to this, if I may, Mary, that I did speak to Janelle this morning and told her the video would not be played, but we did have the link available in our packet, which is in the written form, and she was agreeable to that.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome. Janelle Gagnon. Dear Mayor DeVries, Deputy Mayor Combs, and Palmer City Council members. Today I got a call before noon from Colony Middle School that parents should pick up their children from school if possible, that 2 possible positive cases of COVID-19 had been identified. When I picked my son up, he expressed dismay at the possibility that his school might have extended closure. He prefers being at school to learn. He loves engaging with his teachers and his friends, and an extended school closure could impact the ability for the play he has been working on after school with the theater department to potentially be canceled. We received the call later that his school, like many others of late, would need to be closed until at least October 30. I noticed on the school district website that numerous other schools had cases and closures today as well. It is not surprising. Positive COVID cases are rising now at alarming rates and show no signs of waning anytime soon. A visit to any of our schools will reveal school staff that are complying at all times with the mask mandate. So are students. This, along with other mitigating strategies, are what both staff and students understand is the only way to keep positive cases down so that school may stay open. Each school is identified by the district as their own community. As a community, all working and learning, they understand that they have a responsibility for the common good of each other because they have a common goal, continued at school learning. A visit to the district website's COVID-19 page will reveal a beautifully done video with students masked up talking about working together to keep each other healthy, to keep schools open. How hypocritical it must seem to these students to leave their school community and go out into the larger community and see some adults masked, some not. Surely they should be able to rely upon the civic leaders in our community to follow COVID-19 mandates and recommendations. At minimum, they should see all civic leaders wearing a mask just as they do, just as their teachers and their principal faithfully adhere to every day. Palmer City Council, I ask you to hold each other accountable to show the leadership we need and hold each other to the same standard we expect of children so that they can continue to do their one job, be at school and learn. If there is anyone within the municipal government who work for the city who for doctor confirmed health reasons should not be wearing a mask, then I believe it is incumbent upon that person, especially those in leadership positions, to explain that to the constituents. Additionally, masks need to be worn properly, not underneath one's nose or below the chin, barring the exceptions of speaking, although with that, even I believe most of us have come to understand we can speak through a mask and be heard just fine, eating or drinking. Not only do children and teachers want to be in school, but we all know that a large percentage of parents need for school to be in session so they can work and know that their children are reliably cared for. It is incumbent upon all of us to work together to do the most basic mitigation to lower our COVID case numbers and keep children in school and the workforce employed. Thank you for your time, consideration, and thank you for your service to the great city of Palmer. And that was Janelle Gagnon. Andrea Hackbarth. Dear City Council and Mayor DeVries, I am sure you're aware the COVID-19 case count in our community is rising exponentially. Today, Monday, October 26th, the Mat-Su Borough has again broken a record with 80 cases reported. It's expected that the hospitalization and death rates will soon follow a similar trajectory. It is far past time for the City of Palmer to leadership on this issue to ensure the health of our community is protected as much as possible. While I realize that the city may not be able to implement and enforce a mask mandate, the City Council members and especially the mayor can lead by example. It has been reported the Mayor DeVries has refused to wear a mask within City Hall, where masks are required. I've personally seen her out shopping and flaunting businesses' mask mandates as well. This is a grave failure of leadership that puts the entire community at risk. I urge Mayor DeVries and all City Council members to step up to the plate and show leadership, personal responsibility, and empathy by masking up and maintaining social distance in public areas, especially government buildings like City Hall. Sincerely, Andrea Hagbarth. Lee Henriksen. Dear council members and mayor of the city of Palmer, with the rise in COVID cases in the city and borough, it's time to keep our staff and elected officials safe by enforcing the current mask mandate in City Hall. The mayor of our city should lead by example and wear a mask when in City Hall. Councilmember Carrington makes a good faith effort with his face shield. However, the CDC does not recommend face shields as a substitute for masks. Let's keep our city staff and elected officials safe. Let's be an exemplar in the fight against COVID. When in City Hall, everyone must wear a properly fitted, clean mask. Thank you, Lee Henriksen. Marnie Conchalo. Dear City Council members and Mayor Edna DeVries, our COVID numbers in the Mat-Su are rising at an alarming rate. It has become a real threat here. 75 Valley residents infected in the reported count yesterday, Sunday. Both the CDC and the Department of Health recommend the use of masks, social distancing, and washing hands frequently. As a registered nurse, I cannot stress the importance of these methods to slow the incidence of COVID. It has come to my attention that our Mayor DeVries does not wear a mask when entering city and borough buildings. It is clearly stated that all entering these buildings need to wear a mask. mask. I surely hope Mayor DeVries does not have a condition that keeps her from wearing a mask. If she doesn't, she needs to wear a mask. She holds a position that some people may be emulating. I am asking that Mayor DeVries wear a mask or be denied entry into these buildings. Respectfully, Marnie Conchalla. Jan Newman. Dear Mayor DeVries, Deputy Mayor Combs, and the Palmer City Council members, according to the state of Alaska Health and Social Services, residents are responsible for helping to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Alaska. As the state of Alaska eases restrictions and reopens our economy, it is especially important that everyone continues with basic prevention measures. Individual actions make a difference. From helping each other through earthquakes to clearing snow from a neighbor's driveway, Alaskans, and especially Palmer residents, take care of each other and have a strong sense of community. Wearing a face mask is another way to show you care and to protect those who are more vulnerable to illness. Facial covering should be worn whenever you are in a community setting. These settings include grocery stores, retail stores, bars, restaurants, and yes, even in City Hall and council chambers. Facial coverings become even more important in communities that are experiencing increased COVID-19 illness, as Palmer is today. There's nothing political about wearing a mask. It's just an easy way to help those around you stay healthy. Palmer City Council, I ask you to hold each other accountable to show the leadership we need. Please be respectful of all of us at all times, in City Hall, on the streets of Palmer, in local businesses, by wearing a mask. As our community works to reduce the spread of COVID-19, we are also addressing the economic, social, and secondary health consequences of the disease. Protecting the public's health is paramount, and if we all work together, we can lessen the number of COVID-19 cases so people can get back to work and be back out in our community. Please do your part. Wear a mask, Jan Newman. Carol Ryan Obi. Mayor DeVries and City Council members, I wish I could be in front of you testifying, but because of our health concerns, I cannot be present. In case you forgot, I would like to remind you that we are living through a pandemic. We citizens would appreciate direction, encouragement, and examples of proper behavior from our mayor, Palmer City Council members, and city employees. We live behind the fairgrounds and share a border with the city of Palmer. At the moment, you give us no reason as to why we would want to be annexed by Palmer. Masks are required in City Hall, but I have been very disappointed to learn that not all city workers, even including the mayor, do not follow this protocol. My brother just died on Sunday from COVID. My husband has many health concerns, and I am sure I would lose him if he caught this virus. It's about time we took this seriously. Palmer used to average 4 cases a day, and today we are up to 19. The whole borough is up to 80 cases. Even people who work for the city of Palmer have caught it. When are we going to take it seriously? Maybe the Palmer City Council needs to enforce the mask rule and expel people who do not follow it. It's time to do something. Thank you, Carol Ryan Obi. Carol Thompson. Dear Assembly members, the City Hall has a mandate that those in the building must wear a mask. Mayor DeVries is refusing to follow the written mandate, and she is openly opposing the recommendations of the State Department of Health and Social Services. In doing so, she is setting a bad example for members of our community. She is also putting city staff at risk of transmission from this deadly virus. I request that she follows the mandate of the City Hall requiring everyone inside to wear a mask. I request that all city employees entering the building be required to wear masks, and that action be taken if they do not. Mayor DeVries' refusal to do so endangers borough citizens. Whether she believes it does or not, her personal beliefs should not allow her to endanger others, especially when mask wearing is so simple. Please, Mayor DeVries, follow the CDC guidelines and the recommendations of our own state, as well as the mandate of our own City Hall. Be a responsible citizen and leader and wear a mask. Carol Thompson. Sherry Ann Thompson. Dear City Council and Mayor DeVries, I am so disheartened with the lack of leadership by our elected officials, lack of leadership during this time. The actions you have taken, or lack thereof, have put myself and my coworkers at great risk. Mayor DeVries has shown a blatant lack of respect, empathy towards those in our community that are at risk when she blatantly refuses to wear a mask. I urge Mayor DeVries and all City Council members to take personal responsibility and empathy for those around you by masking up, maintaining social distancing, and encouraging others in our community to do the same. Sincerely, Sherry Thompson. Gail Volt. Dear City Council and Mayor DeVries, the COVID-19 case count in our community is rising exponentially. Today, Monday, October 26th, the Mat-Su Borough has again broken a record with 80 cases reported. It's expected that the hospitalization and death rates will soon follow a similar trajectory. It is far past time for the City of Palmer to show leadership on this issue, to ensure the health of our community is protected as much as possible. While I realize that the city may not be willing to implement and enforce a mask mandate, the council members, and especially the mayor, can lead by example. I believe a mask mandate is way past due, and I would support an area-wide mandate. It is critical that we get this COVID surge under control, and it's time for the City of Palmer to set up and lead the way. It has been reported the Mayor DeVries has refused to wear a mask within City Hall where masks are required. I've personally seen her out shopping and flaunting businesses' masks mandates as well. Besides being totally irresponsible and uncaring, this is a grave failure of leadership that puts the entire community at risk. I urge Mayor DeVries and all City Council members to step up to the plate and show leadership, personal responsibility, and empathy by masking up and maintaining social distance in public areas, especially government buildings like City Hall. Wear a mask. Just wear it. Gail Volt. That is the last one, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I will close audience participation. The next item on our agenda is public hearing for ordinance 20-012, enacting Palmer Municipal Code, Chapter 3.21, suspension and debarment of the public contractors. This is the second public hearing, and we do have a pending motion. So with that, I will open the public hearing for ordinance 20-012. Anyone in the audience can address the council on this ordinance. 3 minutes if you're representing yourself and 5 minutes if you're representing a group. Okay, council chambers, council members, I don't see anybody coming forth. Does anybody have any objections to me closing the public hearing? Okay, with that, ordinance, public hearing on ordinance 20-012 has been closed. What is now motion or, ask any questions or comments? Okay? So is any questions or comments or amendments? Okay, I think we're ready probably for you to call the vote.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. For Jill Valerius,
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington,
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best,
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Burberick,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs,
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes as amended.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing on ordinance 20-013, amending portions of the Palmer Municipal Code, Chapter 17.24, R-2 Low Residential District, Chapter 17.26, R-3 Medium Density Multifamily Residential District, and Chapter 17.27, R-4 High Density Residential Districts. So with that, I will open the public hearing on ordinance 20-013.
I've said this once before, I am not Eugene Carl Haberman, but I'm Mike Molewski, and I live at 325 East Farweed Avenue. However, I feel like I want to channel Mr. Haberman at this point on a process issue. Because I read over, because I'm very much interested in changes that are being proposed to both short-term and long-term ADU type things. And I know Mr. Hansen has worked diligently on this issue for a long, long time. And this is the first of presumably a series of changes that will be happening. When I read through the references to the Planning Commission and the comments that they said Mr. Hansen made, I realized I want those comments. I said, when I look at the technical language that is there, I come away and say, okay, what does this really mean? It would take anyone, I think, a fairly long period of time to lay out these pieces and say, okay, now what can I do that I couldn't do before? I believe that probably at the Planning Commission, Mr. Hansen presented that information. Hence, we're at this point that Mr. Haberman typically speaks, and he says, okay, so we have an opportunity to speak to this topic at this time. And I know it's a struggle, try to balance. When do you get a report from Mr. Hansen or Mr. Musi that would speak to what this is in what I would term plain language? What does this really mean that's happening? And so anyone who would want to speak at this time doesn't have that. and then action is taken, discussion has happened, perhaps there will be a report given subsequent. But we don't know that. And I've come to believe that I think Mr. Hayburn has a point. I'm not sure that he has a particular solution, and I'm not sure that I can offer one either, except to say that perhaps included in the reference, the written reference, other than the technical language, would be a summary of Mr. Hansen's description, which from what I could see, the Planning Commission liked very much. And I said, okay, but what was it? But that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Anyone else that would like to testify in the public hearing for ordinance number 20-013? Okay, so council, there's no one else coming forward, so without objection, I'll close the public hearing. So with the comments from the audience, would you like to have a staff report before? So Councilman Musi, will you give us a staff report on ordinance number 20-013, please?
Yes, ma'am. So, and Mr. Mike's comments were, I think, appropriate. Essentially, what we are doing here is previously the city council approved a change in the Palmer Municipal Code to allow short-term rentals. What all we're doing is taking that approval and inserting it into each section of our code to be able to have it effective and easier to read. So this is essentially just cleanup. You've taken something that's already approved and you're putting it in the code so it makes sense when you read it. The other thing is there were some inconsistencies as far as lot size areas, and we are making those consistent through the code. So essentially nothing new is happening that has not already been approved by city council, other than making the code language clear in each section.
Okay. Alrighty, so what is the wishes of the council on ordinance 20-013?
Madam Mayor, move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, questions, or amendments to the motion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Best.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate the words that the manager spoke about cleaning up language, making things be more clear, and taking the confusion out of things. Unfortunately, if we look at page 65, we have referred to this first line as R2 low residential district. Our language calls it low density residential district. And then if you look again, we replicate the consistent, that same mistake on page 67 in the language under the, for the ordinance. So, and then it's all throughout the body of this where we continue to replicate low residential district. So, on one hand, I get what the city manager is stating and his intent. Follow through has been a little clumsy. So, I don't know if we need to postpone this to the next meeting to make sure that we catch all these errors, that they could be looked at as scrivener errors, but I will defer that to the clerk.
Okay. Alrighty, Council, City Manager Musi, do you have comment, or City Clerk? So should that say low density residential district then? John, do you have some comments?
I do not have my code book with me in manager's office annex tonight, so I would like to refer back to that. It is a scrivener's error if it's in the code as low
Density.
density residential, then we can, by motion, you can make it match. But I am not sure if it's R2 low residential or it says low density. So if we need to match that, we can certainly pass that with the correction tonight. Like I stated, we're not doing anything new. We are incorporating this into our code. And right now, I don't have the code book to know exactly if the title is R2 low residential or it's in our code as R2 low density residential.
Okay. Mike, have you had a chance to look that up or so? Go ahead, Mike.
Mayor, I'm doing that right now.
Okay, all right. Let's just stand at ease for a minute and let Mike look that up.
I have a confession, I didn't capture what Councilmember Best. Can I come over and look at what, did you write it down?
Mm-hmm.
Can I come over and see what you said?
Sure. Uh-huh.
I was trying to work on the last ordinance here.
So,
Okay.
because see, this all has density in it.
Yep.
So he's wondering if all of these need to have the word density or if this is exactly what
Got
it
it.
says in our code now.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
Uh-huh.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's, the section at issue is contained in Common Code 17.24, and it reads R-2,
Uh-huh.
low density residential district.
Okay.
And I think that under the, and you do it one of two ways, you could just change that tonight, or it could be a scrivener's error that the clerk has revised the ordinance, but include that, change in all relevant places in the ordinance. So
Okay.
I think it's best for pointing that out, but I think it's an easy fix.
Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion to the amendment from one of the council members, just add the word density after low and before residential district throughout this ordinance? Or do you want the ordinance to come back to you?
So moved.
Okay, all right. Councilman Best, is there a second? Okay, and I have a second. Councilwoman Valerius, were you trying to get in to make a motion or did you have a comment?
Who was the second?
Berberich. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so the amendment now on the floor is starting on page 67 throughout the, I guess probably throughout on through page 71 would be to add the word density after low and before residential district. Discussion on that amendment. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll for the vote on that amendment, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs. Councilmember Julie Berberich.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now, further amendments or questions or comments on ordinance number 20-013 as amended? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you?
Madam Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Best, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a question for the attorney on page 71, under fencing requirements. The change is to remove 6-inch, so it just says 6 foot, and I don't know if this was part of the discussion also as to this entirety of this paragraph, but my question to you is, because it says shall have a 6-foot solid or overlap, an interlap fence on the side, is that too specific? Should we have a minimum or a maximum? Is that enough, is there enough ambiguity in that, or does it actually require somebody to have a 6-foot fence?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I think it says 6-foot fence. You need to have a 6-foot fence. So I think that, I think that's how I would do it. says 6 feet, then 6 feet there.
Follow up.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
So if somebody has a 7-foot fence, they're out of compliance?
I think you could perhaps make that argument because a lot of times the reason to have these fences is so you don't secure site distance for screening purposes and those sorts of things. And then depending on whether there's easements for light and air, fairly rare. But a 7-foot fence could affect that. I think that it says shall have a 6-foot fence. It says you shall have a 6-foot fence and not a larger one. And in other communities that have maximum height for fencing, so it's not uncommon. As far as how this operates on a practical level, I would have to defer to community development, but I think
The city has his hand up.
Yes, so the 6-foot is throughout. This is specific to a higher density, unit abutting a lower density. So I think it's very appropriate to have it at 6 foot to provide that visual buffer. That is why that is called out. You certainly can put a 4-foot fence somewhere else, but these conditions, when there's lots of budding immediate across from the alley of an R1, R1E, or R2, which has more than 5 dwelling units, that is intentional to have that at 6 foot to provide proper screening. Because, you know, in residential areas, when you go down classes, sometimes there is conflict. And then 6 foot is consistent throughout. And other communities I have been involved with, the status seems to be about 6 foot. That is what the industry usually builds anyways. That's what the option I had when I recently put up a fence.
John, do we know if there are any existing 5 or more dwelling units that would have higher than the 6-foot fence right now? And so would they have to, go ahead.
If there is, Mayor, they'd be grandfathered in.
Okay, so,
We're not going to make them take a chainsaw and knock off a couple feet.
okay,
But that would be fun, making sure to get it very straight. So no, it would be grandfathered in if it's taller than 6 foot.
okay, okay. I just didn't want to add any additional expense to somebody that had, you know, multifamily that had put the fence in with all good intentions prior to this time. So further questions or comments? Councilman Best, did that answer your question, and are you okay, or do you want to make an amendment?
I agree with the manager saying that it's prolific throughout the rest of the code and it's kind of done in other places. I challenge everybody to kind of think about, when we write code, planning and zoning and whomever, I believe the intent is for, the screening aspect of an approximate 6-foot fence. If somebody wants to have a 10-foot fence, I think that's something we need to address, kind of to allow some flexibility. Maybe because of site situations, maybe you know, somebody could get a waiver to that extent to have a 10-foot fence. I think it could be as specific as 6 foot. I get the intent. There again, it's the application aspect of this. So I'm not going to go down to the weeds into this too much tonight. I think it's just something interesting to think about. And I do appreciate the staff's efforts in this, Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Hanson, everybody in this aspect.
Okay. Okay, further discussion? We have a motion and we have an amendment regarding this. Any further discussion, questions, or amendments to ordinance 20-013? Okay, Madam Clerk, I guess we're ready for the vote.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So on the main motion as amended, Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs. Councilmember Julie Berbrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Mayor DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. So the next item on our agenda is a public hearing on Resolution 21-001, adopting the 2021 City of Palmer Employee Pay Plan. And this is our second public hearing. Does anybody want a staff report or anything before I go ahead and open up this second public hearing? Okay, don't see any. So public now is welcome to address the council on Resolution 21-001, which is the 2021 City of Palmer Employee Pay Plan. Okay, I don't see anybody coming forth. Does the council have any objections to closing the public hearing? Okay, so with that, we'll close the public hearing. And are we going to do motions at this time, Madam Clerk, or are we going to do them in our last meeting?
That is up to you and the council. That is definitely what we've done in the past, how we've practiced that for over
Is to have
quite a
the
few
motion
years, is
now.
to have the motion on the floor. Mhm.
Okay, all right. So if I can go ahead and have a motion then for approval, we won't vote on the approval, but it will be a pending motion for, as we work our way through the budget for 2021. Okay, I see, okay, so I have two makers, so,
I have Councilmember Bestis, who I heard.
okay. Deputy Mayor Combs had raised her hand. Oh, okay, she said she would second. She had raised her hand before Councilman Best had said anything. Okay, so we have a pending motion on Resolution 21-001, so we will just leave that on the floor as a pending motion. The next item we will have a public hearing on is Resolution number 21-002, adopting the 2021 fee schedule for the City of Palmer for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021. This is the second public hearing. Anyone in the audience is welcome to come and address the council on Resolution number 21-002. 3 minutes if you're representing yourself, 5 minutes if you're representing a group. Public hearing is now open. Okay, city council members, I don't see anybody coming forth, so I will close the public hearing on Resolution number 21-002. What is the wishes of the council? Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 21-002, and we will just leave that as a pending motion also. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing on resolution. Yes, Councilman Best,
May I ask that we go ahead and bundle 3, 4, and 5 and do them all in one?
Councilman Best, we had discussed that earlier tonight under the special meeting, and we did bundle them. But we thought that since this was a regular meeting that we should maybe do them separately. But we did do them earlier.
I appreciate that, Madam Paul.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. So the next item is public hearing on resolution number 21-003, adopting the 2021 fine schedule for the City of Palmer for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021. So the public hearing now on resolution 21-003 is open. Anyone is welcome to address the council on this resolution. Okay, council, I don't see anyone coming forth so I'll close the public hearing on resolution 21-003. What's the wishes of the council? Okay, is there a second? Councilwoman Berber has her hand up. Okay, the next item is a public hearing on Resolution 21-004, adopting the 5-year capital improvement program for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021. So public hearing is now open for Resolution 21-004. Anyone is welcome to come and address the council on this resolution. Can see no one come forth. I will close the public hearing. What is the wishes of the council? Okay, is there a second? Okay, I see Councilwoman Valerius' hand. So there's a motion to approve Resolution 21-004 and seconded. So we will move on from that. Then the next public hearing is Resolution number 21-005, adopting a budget for the city of Palmer, Alaska for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021 and appropriating monies. This is our second public hearing. The public hearing is now open on Resolution 21-005. Anyone is welcome to address the council on this item. Okay, council members seeing no one come forth, I will close the public hearing. What is the wishes of the council?
Move to adopt, Madam.
Okay, is there a second?
Councilmember Carrington?
Okay, okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you. Okay, the next item is new business. Madam Clerk, if we were going to switch the order of the new business because we had taken the one item from the consent, would we need to have
Motion to amend the agenda?
a motion to amend? We don't have to suspend the rules or anything, just a motion to amend? Okay, so if the council doesn't mind, I think that might be easier because we may get bogged down in the budget. So if I could have a motion by the council to change the order under new business from ordinance number 20-014 to be item number 1, and then the committee of the whole to be item number 2. So council.
Deputy Mayor Combs?
Okay, Councilwoman Valerius has her hand up. Okay. Discussion? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you would go ahead and take the roll on that, please.
Yes. Councilmember Jill Valerius?
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels?
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best?
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs?
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Motion passes.
So now the item under new business is ordinance 20-014, amending the Palmer Municipal Code section 18.27.020, voting methods relating to absentee voting by mail. Okay, Councilman Daniels, you had a question or a comment, or do you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a question.
Motion first.
Oh.
Excuse me
It's so-
just a minute.
You're asking that order. So if his question is to staff, it's appropriate because it would be staff report time right now.
Okay.
If it's question to council, we would need a motion on the floor to have council deliberation.
Okay.
So that I guess is the point right now
Okay.
is where's the question going to?
Okay, so is the question to staff or is it to council?
I would say it's probably to staff. Yeah, or it's to staff. Yeah.
To staff,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
so go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so on page 6, there's a line regarding the absentee signature that you have to require. It says, one witness who is at least 18 years of age if an authorized official is not reasonably accessible. I just wanted clarification in terms of what would be considered an official not being reasonably accessible.
Go ahead.
If I may, Madam Mayor, pretty much any time. Let's just put it that way. This year, something that would not be reasonable is someone who is not able to leave their home. They could use someone who else resides within their home as a witness. If they have someone that delivers, they don't have a lot of interaction, they aren't able to go out, come to City Hall, have one of the clerk staff notarize or get down to early voting, or even at the poll place to get it witnessed, that anyone over 18 could do that for them. Reasonable would be something that is defined by that person. And at this point, when we review that, we're making sure that the witness signature is present on the envelope. And as long as it's there, to me, that it meets the qualifications. We're not really looking at that definition specifically to not count or count a witness signature based on reasonability of accessibility to A, basically, or D1. Does that answer your question? And probably a little more detail than you wanted, but does that answer it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, alrighty, so, so I still now need then a motion for the introduction and setting the public hearing for this item. So, what is the wishes of the council? Okay, is there a second? Councilwoman Valeris, okay. So, the motion is to, introduce and set a public hearing for November 10th for ordinance number 20-014. Discussion, amendments to the motion. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you would take the roll then to determine the vote,
Yes.
please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
Yes.
Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The motion passes.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is new business, go into a committee of the whole, presentation of the 2021 budget. Note, action may be taken by the council following the committee of the whole. Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, can we actually just take like a 5-minute leave?
Oh, sure, yeah, we most certainly can. So let's see, I have 8:02 here. Should we come back at 8:10? That would be 8 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, so we'll reconvene at 8:10. Number 2, Committee of the Whole, presentation of the 2021 budget. And so I don't think I had a motion before, did I? Okay, so,
Madam Mayor, move to go to committee of the whole.
okay. Is there a second? Valerius. Alrighty, so we are now in the Committee of the Whole. Yep.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Jill
They may
Valerius.
all vote no, so we can all go home or something.
we
I
go.
shouldn't assume it, I guess.
True. Councilmember Jill Valerius.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Daniels.
Yes.
Councilmember Steve Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Richard Best. Ooh, there was hesitation.
Yes.
Councilmember Julie Berberich.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sabrina Combs.
All right, good. Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Edna DeVries.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Alrighty, so we had some discussion regarding, in our special meeting, and I think the one question I think that was asked would be maybe a good place to start would be just to go over each one of the departments. Is that sort of where we are now? Would that be the best use of this time, you think? City Manager Musi, if you are, I know they left it up to you whether you would do that or you would have your directors do it. So if you were gonna have your directors do it, then maybe we would postpone that until some of your directors would be here. Or, what,
You know, based on the comments earlier, and I do think we can make this time profitable.
okay,
But we have a special meeting on November 3rd.
uh-huh,
And we're starting out with DOT phase number 2 on the Glen Highway.
uh-huh,
Then we're moving into this budget discussion, that sort of thing. So,
right,
so what I have for that meeting is airport presentation, especially that was called out, especially with the 24 acres, and also to the activity at the airport.
mm-hmm,
We have an issue on the COVID funds, so we will get a detailed report on that and what we're doing with the offset. We can talk, and in fact, I talked tonight about the fee schedule.
mm-hmm,
And then we talked about our specials, such as the MTA Center and library. We can have those prepared. And then I'll have Mr. Knoll, and I know he's home tonight in his Barco Lounger, listening to this, in between this and the World Series. He can talk about our proprietary funds, meaning garbage, water, and sewer, where we are on that. So tonight, if we could go briefly over the fee schedule, because not a whole lot changed, but we can do that. And then let's talk about the capital. I think I can be pretty concise. Not a whole lot of changes with either, but I think probably the big decisions that I see for city council is how we're doing capital projects. And the money or lack thereof we have for that.
okay,
So we can find out real quick, the fee schedule is in your packet tonight on page 75.
okay,
So let's go to that. 75, and I'll give you kind of a brief overview. We'll go point by point. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. We do this every year with the budget. And then we'll just go down through changes here. We can kind of talk briefly about that. So the first change is happening on page 81 of this, and it has to do with election fees. So essentially our costs are going up, and I still think this is a very low number. But we're asking for election fees, the recount ballot application deposit per precinct go from $150 to $200.
okay,
We think that's certainly reasonable, and it's not enough money to say we're denying somebody their rights.
right,
But it would get us a little closer to covering our expenses to do so.
okay,
And I'm positive, and Norma can speak to this. The $200 doesn't come close to covering our costs, but it's a step in the direction.
okay.
The
John,
next change is
John, can I interrupt you just a minute? On page 79 on the appeals, I just had a question on the top of page 79, following that along, because I think as we do look at this year's budget, the more items that, are not borne by the general public that are sort of special. So I was just going to ask the clerk or yourself on the appeals on the top of page 79, do those come close to meeting the financial obligations that we have for appeals?
No, they do not. And there's staff time, but also there's attorney time.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be chewed up pretty quickly. The challenge we're going to have with all our fees is, are they going to cover the cost? Sometimes no, but what is fair for the applicant?
Right,
So, essentially what we're saying is no, and we want to give our citizens a right to appeal.
right.
We want to charge them something, but if we charge them what we think the anticipated cost is going to be, you could add a zero to that.
Ooh, okay.
To those numbers.
Right.
And then what we're doing is really denying people the right to have a fair opportunity to
Right.
do so, because they're not paying for an answer, they're paying for consideration.
Mhm.
And that's always a challenge. I mean, later in this process, we'll talk about, what we're charging for ice fees, what we're charging for airport
Right.
rental fees. And just like anything else, we're a competitive market, we're
Mhm.
serving, there's only so much you can do.
Right. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. We do need to have the ability, or our residents do need to have the ability to certainly appeal these decisions. And I know it's a fine line to a what point, but, okay, thank you. Go ahead then now, sir.
Okay, next, if you go to page 83 in your packet, we have a couple changes to our fire training center rental fees. Essentially, the classroom, we'd like to increase that to $150. It's not used a lot, but it's used some. The copy machine, we have tried to keep it consistent with everything, so we don't have one department charging 25 cents, another department charging 50 cents.
Mhm.
So 25 cents matches everything else.
Right.
And then the training ground, $100 per 80.
Okay.
Next change proposing occurs on page 11. And this is contractor certification of exemption. That takes time, and we would like to increase that to $250.
John,
I'm sorry.
page 9. I'm sorry,
Page 86, I'm sorry, page 86,
you skipped page 84.
under sales tax. Did I miss something?
There's
Yeah.
some changes on page 84, sir, on the fire training ground items.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there is. House, going from 30 to 50, that should give them enough time to cure their meat in the smokehouse.
That's right.
Smoke generating machine also too. I think that comes with extra flavor. And then tower building and burn room for those burn ends on your beef brisket.
There we go.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
no, those are just basic charges to come a little closer to our costs for others who use our facilities.
Okay.
And I apologize for missing
That's okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to page 86.
Mhm.
Okay, and so this is something I'd like you to pay, pretty close attention to. Monthly water rates, we're looking at an increase to $19.35 for 5,000 gallons and over 5,000 gallons, matching that. Monthly wastewater to go from $35.75 to $38.95. And then based on meter charges. You can see there's a whole list of those. Those are necessary to increase to cover our costs. This is an enterprise fund, which means we do our very best not to have the taxpayers subsidize, but have the cost borne by the users. We have some significant improvements for our water system needed, and also too, we have the wastewater treatment plant clarifier project that we're working on. Now, we got bonding approval, but we have to cover those costs.
Mhm.
So essentially, we did an amortization schedule, and even with these rates on water and sewer, if we have to do an $8 million bond investment, we'll still have to increase these rates by another 20% to pay the annual bonding. Now, I think it's very important that we take these steps right now, so we do it in advance to hold on to money, to soften that. And also, too, my view is that a taxpayer understands things happen, and they can deal with a 3 or 4 or 5% increase. they have a very hard time with their family budgets and households to handle a 20, 25, 30% increase. In fact, that's almost unfair. So we have to do some pre-planning. This is probably going to be my view as your most difficult decision on this budget on what is the right time. We ran amortization schedules on this. I believe this is important to make these decisions now, and we're going to have to make incremental decisions as we go through the process. But we're trying to avoid the big, huge shock in rates. I mean, the way to equate it, you know, if gas jumped up to $3.25 for basic gasoline tomorrow, it would really be a shock to families' budgets and hurt. But it was, you know, if it's incremental to that point, you're able to deal with that as a family.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
on the wastewater rates, what do we charge for the people that are hooked up to our sewer line that are outside the city of Palmer and don't have city water?
You know, that is a good question on how to handle that. I do not have the right answer. I might have the right answer. It would just be a guess answer.
Okay,
I will have Mr. Knoll explain how we do that. You know,
Okay.
How we do that
okay,
for people who do not have our water, that have our sewer.
okay,
Because
thank you.
That is a good point. We charge people based on usage. So how do we guesstimate or use that usage?
Yeah, okay, great, yeah,
Madam Mayor?
yes. Councilman Carrington?
Governor?
Yes,
And something else to note that this is, I mean, this is for our utility users, so whether they're in the city or out of the city, they're all part of the same, the rates are going for those that are using our water and sewer.
Right.
I'm just making a comment.
right, but since there's almost everybody, well, probably what, 80–90% of the wastewater rate is based on their water usage, and if they don't have water usage, that's, yeah. And there is some of those people in south of town, I think, so, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Mayor, just a clarification, because I do have good people on helping me out. On the end of the page, we have unmetered wastewater service flat rate 4-inch service line is $45 we want to go to. An unmetered wastewater service flat rate 6-inch service line is $65.
Okay,
So,
okay,
so that is what we are charging. So,
Okay.
Thank you,
okay, good,
Ms.
okay,
Davis.
all right. Very, very good, very quickly. Buy that
Okay.
person lunch, whoever gave you that good, so you look good.
That's it. Just as a small aside, I was in my last job that I had. I'm doing presentations, and my wife went with me, and she came back because I did have some help. She says, "Man, those people make you look a whole lot better than you really are." So this is true here for City Palmer. So.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
Next page is 88. Is prohibited items and trash warranty and unplanned garbage truck clean out per hour, $60, and that's a deal. I mean, you clean out a garbage truck for $60 an hour, we're giving somebody a smoking deal. So don't put unwarranted stuff in our garbage trucks.
Kevin,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Combs?
thank you. Mr. Ricky, do we, and I just might not remember, it's been a while, when someone signs up for trash with City of Palmer, do we give them a list of what prohibited items are?
You know, I don't know because I got new service. I don't think I got a list, or maybe I did and I didn't pay attention to it, so I'll find out. But I want to tell you, it's the best garbage can I've ever got.
I would never want to upset Mr. Sutton with the prohibited items, so I would like to know what those, I'm gonna guess what some of them are, but it would be nice to know if we have it posted on our website or something of that nature.
That's a very good point. So yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and that is all the changes. Most of them are pretty minor, but we do water rates. Those are my recommendations. I think they're important to do, but like I said, I think that's gonna be your toughest decision, this budget cycle.
Madam Mayor? You're drinking water, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Ruski, last year we made, a significant amount of changes to the air tax item, fees. And I remember that they were kind of to more bring us in line with, valley-wide and statewide costs for those same things that we remain competitive. And maybe this will be a question, when Mr. Kelly gives the presentation or we talk about the airport, but I just want to make sure that we're staying competitive, but also making as much as we can in that area. So just comparing where we're at with our side on the cost, based on similar side airports across the valley and the state.
Yes, Mr. Kelly, very pleased, to present that, and we've had discussions, he's on top of it, but it would be good to explain. Since, the World Series has ended, do you want to go to talk about the, 2021 fine schedule tonight?
Absolutely. We already missed the end.
Yes. Okay, so, I'm sorry, Mayor, is that okay with you? It's
Sure.
okay with Deputy Mayor.
Yes, excuse me, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we're gonna go page numbers. These are the changes in our fines. So page 98, fluoridation, public water system. We would like to get rid of the changes or the first, second, and third offense and just do your offense is $300 a shot. Same thing with the wastewater and waste disposal systems required. The offense from the first one would be $300. And I think this may be appropriate with the comments before that we inform the people on what that offense is and what they should not do so they don't have the fines. Later on page 98, we're doing the same thing with nuisances. Well, a little different nuisance, $150 for the first nuisance and $300 for the second nuisance under acts permitting permit, and then also too, snow and ice removal.
So,
Just trying to simplify this.
so let me ask you this question. So on the snow and ice removal, there's only second offense, there's not first offense? Or does that need to be bracketed differently?
So, yeah, maybe make it clear, but, so everything under this section, 8.36, all these,
Okay.
prohibited designations, specific acts designated, acts required by permit, we'll have those listed. All those, the first offense is 150, the second offense is 300. So maybe we can clarify this chart a little better.
Okay,
It states it right there, but I think how it's boxed in,
yeah,
we can
Yeah.
change that, the aesthetic of this a little better.
and there's no third offense? I mean, we just lock them up or
It's just
something?
$300.
Okay,
So if you have 3, 4, 5, and I think after a while, if this is like the third offense, then we call our attorney, Mr. Gaddy,
uh-huh,
and we look at some other provisions that they are just not understanding not to do this, and we'll take legal action or get legal counsel to see if we need to take legal action.
okay, good, okay, thank you.
Okay, next going down.
So, John, can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you a minute, please? So going back up on page 98 to the public water system for the fluoridation 300, is that to keep somebody from infiltrating our system? Or, I mean, I don't understand, I guess I need to know how they do that.
Mayor, I don't know, I've never tried it. So, Mr. Dahl, I will have him come to explain. And
Okay.
sometimes I think it'd be good, not only for general public, but for the new guy to understand some of the history and why we have this.
Yeah,
So I'll have Mr. Null come when he's gonna come our next meeting, November 3rd,
Okay.
address some of these.
Okay, and then I suppose like for the sewage disposal, they would just pull up a manhole and start putting rocks down it or something like that, or,
Yes, or,
I mean, that I could understand a
dumping,
bit.
dumping engine oil,
Okay.
flushing down your toilet, something like that that's gonna harm us and make it more difficult for us
Okay.
to treat.
Okay, good.
So,
Alrighty, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
okay, next page is gonna be page 101. And essentially, we're doing the three offenses for interference with utilities, 300, 500, and 750. So, I might also add that some of these changes come because we did a scan with other communities. And like our fees, some of our fines are matching up with what other communities are doing. So we're kind of consistent. And also too, who knows when the last time we changed some of these rates, these penalties. I think it's been
Okay.
quite a while.
Okay, Councilwoman Valerius, you have a question?
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Musi, if we go back to page 99, it's chapter 8.38 nuisance, junk, litter, and unsightly premises. It just says final notice to abate and remedies, and there's, I don't know if we need something there, or if that's.
So, and maybe Mr. Gaddy can clarify this, is my understanding, let's say there is a property full of trash, everything, couple refrigerators, whatever. We will go in and cite them, and then whatever it costs to clean up, that will be their cost. So if we just said $100, but we are gonna go in there because it's notice to abate the violation, and it costs us $1,000 to do so, that would be a pretty good deal for them. So it's my understanding of this, without not having the citation in front of me, that this is to recover all our costs to abate whatever the problem is. And the same thing with the remedy.
So should there be just something under the fine that basically is a bit of an explanation to that, or am I just not reading that completely?
No, I think that is a great request, and we'll put that right in there, fine, that essentially recover city costs.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can scoot down to, okay, we did page 101. Okay, and that is it. That is it for the changes that we are proposing.
Okay. Any questions on the fine schedule? Anything we missed? Anything you want to go back over and have some questions about? Okay, alrighty, and John, what's, oh, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow up on, Lucy's, comment on the fine. Usually, the citation, let me just give a quick summary of, what we've done in the past on maintenance of nuisance properties. And typically, community development will send, a letter to them, letting them know that the property is a nuisance property and they should clean it up, and that they could be subject to a fine. The community development should issue a citation, to them, typically, I think, the police would be that, or alternatively, you could file a complaint for damages and injunction, and, the cost of recovery of the recovery of the cleanup cost, would be, applied to a lawsuit seeking that include attorney fees and costs, or some negotiated disposition. But my experience with the city is the first approach is to try to amicably resolve it with the property owner so that, not to file a lawsuit, but we have done so, in several occasions. So thanks, Dave.
Okay, does everybody understand? Thanks, Mike, for some assistance and clarification on that. Okay, alrighty, John, do you have another section you wanna move on to?
Yes, Mayor. So I would like to do, since we're here, and most of you are already at home, I'd like to look at the 5-year capital improvement plan, and I'd like to go to page 106.
Okay,
So, and just want to kind of explain, I'm sure you already know that, but look at the green column, 2020 remaining. Those are dollars in past projects or current projects, I would say, that are still there, still eligible to be spent. If you scroll down to page 108, it shows that there is 1.38 million there for capital projects without approval. The yellow, the 2021 edition, we are requesting for your consideration, and that ends up, if you scroll down to page 108, 557,000. So I believe this is basic. So one thing to understand, the green has already been approved by City Council, and the money is there.
okay,
The yellow we're asking for, but it is not in my proposed budget. This would be additional. And so we have a policy that takes our unencumbered fund balance and that uses 10% for capital, and that would be for general capital, and that would be just shy of 300,000. I think it's swag wise, it's like 292,000, I believe. So this is something that there are other improvements we need to do. It's not a lot of extra funds. And so some of those in the green, and we can certainly talk about those in the future. Some of those we're holding on to money for projects that still need to be complete. Some of it is we're holding on to money because we need additional money to get the project moving and forward. Because sometimes in the past we've taken smaller bites than the whole biting the whole apple at once.
okay,
So I can go down through real quick. And we do have, I got a call from a text from a friend. We have $125,000. And please text me that back again. Already, I think, reserved for this, but please text me that again so I can be accurate. Well, I'm waiting for that text. We need the water reservoir to tank repair. We need additional 75,000. So we have 432,000 for general fund that's not budgeted. Yeah. Police radios, we are doing upgrades and updated to those at 67. Okay. So we will get a clarification at our next meeting on available funds we have and what we don't have. I'm sorry for that. Wastewater, lift station and pumps, we need additional 50,000 we're asking for. The annual police vehicle replacement, 50. We probably should have 100, but that's kind of a tight fit. We replaced golf carts, and in a tradition of the city of Palmer, we acquire used golf carts and we make them like new. So they're not new, we can get our bigger bang for a buck. Golf course infrastructure, we have the mini pros station site and snack cart that needs facility, it needs to be replaced, it's falling apart, and some other small infrastructure. Roads, we have a dump truck with a plow blade that needs to be done, it's $275. Very important, kind of keep our roads clear. And then an navigation easement phase 2 of 15,000, we get matching money. Now, an navigation easement, I learned that since coming to Palmer, is a clear clear zone, so our planes can fly in safely and are not obstructed by trees or posts or telephone poles or anything like that, and we need some study on that. We're working with my good friends from the Massey Borough, who need to be nice to us on this issue.
Work it, John. Make it happen.
Yes. So I believe this is correct. Of this, $557, we have $125,000 applied to that. But we're short about some odd $1,000, like $430,000 that we're short of, to make this work. And if there's anything particular you have some concerns with, I will make sure that my department directors address that if I know what the city council may be interested in.
So, John, what's gonna happen with the extension of Felton?
What's going to happen with the addition of Felton? So we're probably a few years out for that,
Okay,
but we need a traffic light. for
right,
that.
right,
We are going to get a price for that, bidding as an alternate, and we think it's going to be in the neighborhood of 1.2 to 1.4 million. It's an awful lot of money for us. It's chump change to DOT.
right,
Coming to you, I think it's the next meeting or following meeting, is our items or legislative items. That is, I'm putting that on our legislative item list to get us funding for that. So
Okay.
the great thing about that specific thing is they can use federal dollars, which they have to match with, I think, 6 or 7%. They just have to put it in the priority. So
okay,
I am very hopeful that if we lean on our Representative Johnson, our Senator Hughes, the governor, our friends at DOT, that they will see that, we got $1.4 million in spare change, and we can put that traffic light in when that extension is made.
Has there been any talk, or is it appropriate to put a roundabout in there?
I do not believe there's been discussion for that. I will certainly ask that question. I think roundabouts are usually less expensive
Right,
because you do not have a traffic light. However, if we are buying property, and that's commercial property, that the property acquisition may be a whole lot more expensive than a traffic light. But I will ask,
Right.
that's a good question to ask. And by golly, Palmer doesn't have a roundabout, do they? So, okay, we can say we need to have a roundabout like everybody else. Okay.
Councilman Best, go ahead.
So we're discussing Felton and the Palmer Wasilla Highway?
Yes, yes, sir, yes,
Just to clarify for the record.
Right. Because the last that I had heard, not officially, but just, on the street, was it was gonna be a right in, right out, which would be horrible for people coming on Felton that wanted to go to Wasilla. That is, and everybody should know, if you don't already, that's an intersection that I use several times a day, because we live just off of Felton, down, on the, towards Helen Drive. So it just doesn't seem like to me that it would work very well for a right in and right out there. But so I just didn't know if it was something we needed to address now, or just in the future, but it doesn't sound like it's anything we need to address right now, except get it in the legislative priority. Yeah. So is there any other, and then of course Hemmer's all outside the city limits, right? So we don't have to worry about any of that. Okay.
Well, Mayor,
Yes.
if there is some issues with Hemmer, I think it's close enough it'd certainly be within our purview to ask for the information, how that might affect our citizens going in and out. So
Right.
we can put that on a preview list and request information for that, and I think that'd be appropriate.
Well, as everybody knows, Department, Transportation is going to be here next Tuesday night, so I'm sure that they, maybe they would have some, discussion at that time, and so, anyway, okay. Alrighty, any other questions from any of the council members regarding the capital improvements project? So are we ready to wrap it up for tonight, or John, do you have some more things to look at?
No, Mayor, I got 11 minutes before I turn into a pumpkin, so
Okay.
I probably should be done.
Okay, all right. Alrighty, yeah, so anything further before we come out of the committee of the whole? I think we've given John the list we want to see. Yes, Councilman Best, go ahead, sir.
Just a point of clarification, since we're in the committee of the whole and it was brought up.
Uh-huh.
Is it this next Tuesday that DOT is going to be at Palmer?
Yeah, we have them.
Election day?
Yeah, they're going to be here at 6 o'clock for half hour, 45 minutes, and then we go into the budget. And the meeting has already been advertised. Yeah.
Correct. I don't know if it's the appropriate time to state this, but I think it's unfortunate the same day as Election Day, which many people are going to be engaged in other activities within our community and nationally for DOT to come in and talk to our community things that might be impactful that might normally generate a lot of participation.
Yeah. We discussed this, this budget schedule meetings were set up some time ago, I don't know, a month ago, 6 weeks or something, and we did talk about DOT coming because they want to come, and so that was an evening that, and if there are people that don't get a chance to, we can ask them maybe to come back again. We are, as you know, sort of summarizing and condensing things so that we don't have meetings in December. So that's put the crunch on. So anything further, any other questions further before we come out of the committee on the whole? Okay, so we're out of committee on the whole. Madam Clerk, record of items placed on the table. Excuse me.
We did have the public testimony for items placed on the table, and you did read out loud that card from Body and Balance, which referenced the support council had provided to them, so that too will be included in the record, those two items.
Okay.
And both of those have been emailed to City Council tonight, so
Okay.
we do have them in hand.
Okay, all right. The next item is audience participation. Anyone in the audience is welcome to address the council for 3 minutes. You're representing yourself, 5 minutes if you're representing a group. Whoop. Hold on a minute, sir, till we get okay, is everybody back now, I think? Okay,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Mike Molesky, I live in the city, 325 East Firewood Avenue. I just thought it was appropriate because I know many people, can you hear me better that way? Okay. I know that many people knew Hap Wurlitzer, Hatcher Pass Lodge. If you've gone to Hatcher Pass, you've gone to the lodge. If you skied up there, one way or another, you've had an opportunity to know him. It's my great fortune to be able to do that over a period of about 3 decades. And today I interviewed a gentleman, similar stature actually, Dan Renshaw, guy that is easily billed as probably Hap's only neighbor, because he has a cabin up above Independence Mine. And Dan grew up in the mine area, and today I spent a fantastic half hour interviewing him as he described Hap and all of the experiences that he had over many more decades than I did. And we'll be broadcasting that interview and be up on our website. I draw your attention to it because even though I'd had conversations, I'm sure many of the people here had conversations with Hap, you're never quite sure which was, I won't say true or false, but maybe an elaboration of something. And I think Dan is able to cut through all and provide some background and history for a gentleman who, even though he lived outside the city of Palmer, I think arguably was as important to Palmer as many people, as an entrepreneur who created a place without comparison. There was no other place that I know like Hatcher Pass Lodge, as a very friendly place over the years. And I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned him, because I think he felt tied to the Palmer community as well. So thank you very much.
Anyone else that would like to address the council on any subject that was on the agenda, or something you'd like to bring to the attention of the council? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close audience participation and council comments. Councilman Daniels, do you have some comments?
I wanted to say thanks to everyone in the community who gave their public testimony. I'd also wanted to say thanks to the Palmer Police Department for offering the ride along. It was a great experience, and it gave me a lot of insight to what goes into the work and the job. And I look forward to also meeting with the dispatchers and getting some insight into their job as well. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Okay, Councilwoman Valerius? Comments?
Thank you to Ms. Davis and Mr. Lucy for the presentation tonight. So far, so good. So thank you, and I hope that everybody stays safe and healthy in the next week.
Councilwoman Burbrick? You want to bring the camera back to me?
Thank you, Mr. Easement, for your work, and to Ms. Davis as well, and putting together the budget for us. Look forward to the discussion that we will be having. I wanted to ask, maybe direct Norma, if we could, now that the election is over, it seems like this pandemic is not going to be going away anytime soon, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we could look into an option for somehow allowing the public to testify via telephone, or some way that we can get the public to be a part of the public process here without requiring them to come into City Hall, especially if people are afraid to be at City Hall, if everybody that is there is not wearing a mask. So I guess I'd like to direct Norma or whoever needs to do that to look into what options may be available to us for that. And then I would also like to wish Mr. Molesky a happy birthday. I missed his birthday celebration. That was outdoors and socially distanced because I was quarantining from a COVID contact. But happy birthday, Mike. Thank you.
I think the new system that we gave the authorization for to purchase, but I'll let Norma fill us in, but that is gonna have, and so, but maybe the clerk has further information. I don't know if there's anything we can do in the meantime, but as you know, that money has to be spent by the end of December, so we just have to get through the month of November. But do you have something else?
Nothing at this time to really add to that. You're right.
Okay.
It was our understanding when we RFP'd that it was going to include some of that. While we have all this software that we're going to do, we will need to discuss who will be managing that, because that will be, as other jurisdictions use it, they've hired staff to come in and manage it. It is cumbersome, and it is something to manage. Testimony of that nature is not something that I will be able to do in addition to the current duties that I'm trying to manage here or the deputy. So yes, the software, my understanding is,
there.
will be included, but then if that's something the council wants to pursue, then we need to hire someone to come in and manage that during the council meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilman Best, comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank Mr. Malecki for the comment that he made this evening. It's interesting, the colorful and textured lives that are interwoven amongst you know, the kind of the fabric of our community. The small times you might run into folks, out in the Hatch Pass area, all that kind of stuff, all that has impacts in our community. So I appreciate the comment you made.
Okay, Councilman, the light was still on, Councilman Best, so I wasn't sure if you were gonna say something else or not. Councilman Carrington, comments?
My main comment would just be to ask to be excused from our next meeting on Tuesday. I am going through surgery on Monday. I'm not sure my recovery will be enough to be attending the meeting.
It might be fun for you to partake, because who knows what you might say. Yeah, right. Yeah, we might be able to get you on making some kind of commitment there, Councilman Carrington. Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Combs.
Thank you. Councilmember Burbrick failed to say how old Mike is, so I'm gonna do it. Happy 80th birthday to Mr. Gillespie. I also am in quarantine and missed his birthday celebration, so happy birthday to him. I heard the eruption from the other room from my children as the Dodgers won the World Series, so we missed it, doing our public duty, so congratulations to all of us. And then as far as what Councilmember Burbrick said, the sound tonight, while I appreciate the safety of the barriers, it was very difficult on the Zoom in to hear people's comments tonight. So whatever we need to do to make everyone's access to the meetings more accessible would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I think I got everybody, right? Okay, with that, the meeting is adjourned.